You know what? No, I'm not even gonna try to start it off like I'm not feeling like absolute crap right now. I am not feeling well, and now I feel like twice as bad because they told me not to catch a cold. I feel like I have, though. I'm not sure what it is. My throat felt like it did not want to work today. We had to deal with a fire in the building last night. That stressed everyone out. On a slightly lighter note, apparently she doesn't want to come over here. I mean, like, she's over here, but she's not in frame. We have a cat now. Never mind. We adopted a cat. Her name was Cheese. Well, her name still is Cheese. But as per usual when it comes to people with pets, I barely use her name. And she was also the reason as to why I was very much stressed out yesterday. That's about enough of life updates. Right, so one, if I seem low energy, it's because I am not feeling well. If you see a tail just randomly popping up, it is because I have a cat in my lap. As promised, I will be explaining the warrior, the lover, and the mediator. So the basic explanation for what I was talking about yesterday is we all have three separate parts to ourselves. We have the mediator, we have the lover, we have the warrior, and we have the mediator. How you care for others, how you fight for what's right or for what you believe in, and how you can care for yourself. For those that remember when I did astrology, the lover would be classified as your Venus sign, or Venus in general, the warrior, Mars, and the mediator is kind of a 2-for-1, both Moon and Mercury, your head and your heart. Now, the lover part of you is the creative daydreamer, the hopeless romantic, just wants to love and be loved. And if left unchecked or unhealed, creates and fuels toxic codependent behaviors. So this is where a lot of the excessive people pleasing or caretaker / martyr comes in. The warrior is the passionate, driven, and determined part of you. All about being in action. Rebel with a cause. Tends to snap at just about anything if not given a break. It's basically if you haven't given yourself time to properly heal and rest from your trauma. For a lot of people, this is where you end up finding things like PTSD and CPTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder and complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Traumatic, not dramatic. And the mediator is essentially the scale of justice, headquarters of head and heart, or passive and active. It is where your sense of self is, your sense of self-love, sense of self-esteem, and sense of self-worth, and has the ability to be damaged or stunted and cannot be healed, must be rebuilt. Now, as I said in my last video, my main issue was that my warrior side was activated at a very early age, which also required for my head to take precedence or to take the lead, which left the lover part of me underdeveloped at best or destroyed at worst, and the heart part of my mediator stunted. Completely off topic for the most part, I don't think I've ever had a cat that allowed me to essentially massage their chest or belly. And I am currently doing that with Cheese. She is having a time. What I written down actually was my main issue is I'm trying to let my warrior rest, but my environment is trying to work against me on that. My warrior was brought out too early and has been doing overtime ever since, while my mediator was stunted and I had to work on actually building it up. For the most part, this kind of gets into another entire different issue that I was having to deal with. The main issue being me having been an undiagnosed neurodivergent child and not having an ounce of a clue on how to handle that. So along with that, here is how not to raise a neurodivergent child, aka why it's hard for me to allow my warrior to rest. I will be giving other pieces of advice alongside that because I don't like being directly negative when it comes to these videos. The whole point is, here's my experience, here's how I processed it, here's what I'm doing to handle a lot of the issues I still have because of it. The first one, ignorance is harmful. Neglect is harmful. Had I known what was off, I would have been better prepared for later on in life. Had I known that it was literally me just being neurodivergent, or at least my brain being wired differently than other people's, I probably wouldn't have felt like I needed to prove that I wasn't several different things. But knowing is only half the battle, and acting accordingly is necessary. Absolutely necessary. So it's not just knowing, because both my older sister and my younger brother were like officially diagnosed as neurodivergent. And with having that information, you do have to work, you do have to change the way that you parent the kid to make sure that it's not trauma, and that just their upbringing itself is not traumatizing them. But yeah, sometimes you do have to change the way that you're specifically parenting, and you actually have to actively parent. I can at least say at best my mom was only passively parenting, which is the reason why I say neglect itself is harmful. Number 2, children were meant to express themselves. It's your job to assist them in finding the words. My main problem when I was a kid was I wasn't able to tell when I was feeling emotions until they were too much to hold back. Being labeled as mature for my age stunted my emotional growth. And even when I brought up that I felt there was something wrong, it was brushed away. It was brushed off as normal teenager stuff. Because I did bring it up when I was like around 11, 12. But sadly, even back then, children were not really taken all that serious. So it's those two things. Help them learn how to do things because this is their first life. Or at the very least, this is the first time they're having to deal with a lot of stuff. And stop emotionally neglecting your mature for their age children. There was a sound of the door closing and the dog barking, and that got her on attention mode. Sadly, she is no longer in my lap, but that means I don't have to be just sideways throughout the rest of the video. Number 3, support is an active choice. You get what you put in. Now, the way that I was specifically brought up, or at least the way that I understand how I was parented, it went from being active authoritarian to passive authoritarian. Which, yes, did not leave room for complicated or complex situations. Because it was either she was drilling, it's either she was putting us through boot camp or we were at an age where we should know better. So I practically had to reparent myself, still doing that, and also emotionally assist my brother after I handled most of my issues. Because I was yeeted the responsibility of handling him before and after school. And the thing that I'm going to say about that part is, if you're not helping to create systems that help them understand and work / be more independent, they will suffer drastically. I didn't really have situations where I acted out. Most of my emotional meltdowns were practically me shutting down my emotions. However, again, my older sister and my younger brother, who were both officially diagnosed as some sort of neurodivergent, had more meltdowns than shutdowns. Basically, you would know if they were uncomfortable with something because they wouldn't be able to shut up about it. They were more expressive in those situations, which is honestly the only way that they ended up getting officially diagnosed, because they had meltdowns. And it's more likely that my mom did not want to go ahead and feel like she was at fault, and then when she realized what the situation was, she kind of still blamed herself anyway. All that is to say, if you're not helping either your neurodivergent children or yourself with creating systems that are not working against the way that your brain works, and handling whatever shame that comes along with that, or making sure that they don't feel ashamed that they have to do stuff like that, that itself will help them in the long run. It would make sure that their mediator, the mediator within them, or their self-worth, self-love, and self-care is balanced and handled. You know what? That kind of takes out, like, I did a 2-for-1 today. I did not realize I was going to end up doing that, but you know what? It was done. So I think I have maybe 2 more videos that I'm going to be posting for this year specifically, for this year in general, but for this project specifically. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe if you wish. Comment any type of questions, comments, or concerns down in the comment section below. I've said comment like 3 times. I've been your local internet friend, aka Toki. Hopefully I get better by the next time I have to record.